Well, hello everybody. Mike McFarland, McFarland Fishing, and the Lake Fork Guide. Hey man, I want to wish you all a happy new year. Uh, to all my subscribers, to everybody that's fished with me, to all of the sponsors. Man, great big thank you. Just looking forward to 2022. I'm standing in my garage, which if you follow me, you've seen this before. This is where we've been filming McFarland's Corner. I'm very proud today to actually take you on a walk and show you what I've been wanting to show you and where I've been working for the last couple of months. But here it is, the official McFarland's Corner. Hey, listen, no more rain sounds, no more acorn sounds, a private studio. Let's go take a walk. First thing I'll do is just give you a little tour here. Got my rod stuff up. Of course, I used to fish for Dobbins, and we will be changing those signs to real-time rods. We're going to talk about that today in today's show too. But the corner is pretty much done. A little bit of lighting to come back. It's all wired, but we'll be putting in some LED strips and some can lighting on dimmers so that we can control the lighting and make it even better for you. But again, insulated, quiet studio now. My workstation here for the end of the day, dumping off all my used fishing daily junk and AC heat to maintain everything. Huge set of cabinets to keep it all stocked and organized. A lot of decorating to do. And again, the lighting will be a lot better after these strips go in. But listen, enough about me. Let's get back to what we do. And that is McFarland's Corner and the rundown. I'd like to give you a 2022 January rundown right now. I'm going to tell you about the lake. I'm going to tell you some specific ways that I would be fishing in January and February. As I do this, I want you to remember, this will be the very last super in-depth, in-detailed public viewing rundown. From February 1st, they are going to be private cornered. I'm still going to give a rundown each week. It'll just be a lot less than the private corner. $4.99 gets you subscription to this private corner, which is going to include the rundown you've been seeing, extreme in-depth details of what I'm exactly doing, right down to the line, the lures, the baits, and maybe even some GPS locations. I'm going to be adding features like discount codes. I'm going to be adding special guest shows. I'm going to be adding a new, what I call the daily do's and don'ts. At the end of the day, I will be giving you a rundown quick on the front of my boat by myself and tell you, hey, try this, but don't do this. You know, maybe don't go this end of the lake, go the other end of the lake, etc., etc. That's going to be called the daily do's and don'ts. And enough rambling. It's 3 minutes of talking. If you're still with me, let's go give you a rundown. And then bear with me through this part. I don't have a cameraman, so we'll get this set here for you. Maybe Joe will edit this one. I don't know. That'll be good. All right. If you listen this far, I appreciate you so much. Hit the like button. Subscribe, man. Just subscribe to the basic channel. I do give a lot of content in it to the public. Private corner, again, is going to be like this. All right. Lake level. Everybody's going to get this. Right now, the current temperatures are ranging from 53 to 56 degrees. It depends on what part of the lake you're in. You go up north into the more shallower water, you're probably going to experience colder water in the morning because cool water sinks and water gets cold faster. So the shallow waters, the backwaters are actually the coldest. The body itself is about anywhere from 54, 55, even 56. You can find some good main lake water at that temperature. Normally we're much colder, and I do believe in the next 6 weeks we will get colder. Okay? Lake clarity. I put a star here on purpose because just like the water temperatures, it depends on where you're at. 0 to 2 foot visibility. In some of the northern ends, because the lake is so low, it's actually muddy. The water's pretty dirty. If you go real shallow up there, though, you'll be surprised. It looks dirty, but there's still 1 foot visibility. Down in the main lake, and you might find as much as 2 foot of visibility. So 0 to 2 feet on clarity, depending on where you are on the lake. Lake levels. First thing is I want to quash the rumor. There's so many rumors that it's 8 feet and 10 feet down, and they're going to take it down a gajillion and put the fish over the dam. I mean, it's just crazy how people go off. But the facts are that it is 396.90 feet above sea level. Based on a 403-foot full pool lake, that makes it 6.10 feet below full pool. The lake is 6 feet low, just like SRA said in their public announcement, okay, in their press release. They have found a little more erosion on the dam, but that basically means maybe a little more time. They were thinking that they would be finished working by January. Now it may be a little bit longer because they've found some more erosion. But everything's going great. And yes, the lake is 6 feet low, scary and dangerous. All right? It's very, very dangerous. So here's the thing. Now on, the board's going to go up here. So if you miss me talking about it, you should be able to still see it, I hope. You certainly will when the can lighting's coming in, because there's going to be a light right on it. All right? Fish-wise, here's what I would be doing. All right? There's a lot of ways to catch them right now. A lot. There really is. The real catchable fish are in 18 to 22 feet of water. But you got to find those fish. Okay? There are fish in the trees in 3 to 5 foot of water, but they can be anywhere they want, meaning out in 50 foot in the tops of some super tall trees at the 3 to 5 foot range in the limbs, on shore in the 3 to 5 foot on big stumps. It could be anywhere. Again, you got to find them. So with that being said, those offshore fish, it's probably, especially the in the tree fish, the 3 to 5 foot suspenders, live scope's makes a big difference on that. You can certainly see those fish, find those fish, and see the reaction that they have to the baits you throw at them. The jerk baits and the swim jigs and things like that thrown at those baits are best for targeting those baits, or those fish. With as warmer temperatures as we are, I still would think that there's active fish. And what I want to elaborate by that is a few weeks back, I talked about the 55 to 70 degree water temperature being the most active time of the bass. It's the most favorite temperature. If you don't believe it, Google it. Just give it a Google and see what you find. But 55 to 70 degrees is their most active temperature. Man, they spawn at 60, 64, so they're having fun making babies. You know, believe it or not, in December, there were some fish spawning. With the changing of temperatures and things, this is where you got a little bit of everything still. But those deeper fish, okay, the real deep fish, the giant fish, some of the teenage fish, they're in 30 feet of water right now. My animals at home have just grown an extra undercoat, just out of the blue. In the last 10 days, they've gotten thick. That tells me something. Mother Nature and animals have a different connection than you and I. So why are they thickening all of a sudden? Why are all of a sudden now there's finally geese and ducks beginning to show up? Everything's late and we're still going to get cold. Hopefully it's short and sweet. All right, but with that being said, I like the offshore stuff, so I'm generally going to be fishing in that 18 to 22 foot of water right now. And what I would like to pretty much, be real quick with, because we talk about it so much, is the jig. There's nothing better for a big bass bite than a jig. And look, I run the Santone Rattling jig in the wintertime. I'm going to go as heavy as I need to go to be able to feel the contact with the stuff that I'm throwing it into, whether it's a tree stumps, rocks, or whatever, even if I'm throwing it in the mud. So if I'm throwing it in some shallow wood and 3/8 makes good contact, perfect, and I feel the bait. If I go to a different back of a pocket in a little deeper cut or ditch and drain that's filled with soot and mud, and I can't feel the bait no more, I may go up to 1 ounce. And believe it or not, a lot of them crawfish are in that mud, and that's where a lot of those big fish go looking for those big crawfish. So the black and blue is my ultimate favorite when it's the coldest conditions. So the next 3 to 6 weeks minimum, I will be targeting creek swings, channel swings next to warm trending flats, hardwood laydowns. I'm going to be using the Santone rattling jig in ranges of 3/8 ounce to 1 ounce. Black and blue, purple. I absolutely love to have a sapphire trailer when it's really cold as water. So if this water turns in the next couple weeks and gets down in the 40s, 48, 49, this would probably be my main targeting bait. If I feel like they're really lethargic, I'll even go to less of an action in the trailer, like a beaver, okay? This is old school to me. This is a zoom. So this really emulates what we used to do in the old days with the pork rind. Of course, it doesn't have the pork smell, it doesn't have the pork texture, but this is going to move and swag in a lot of different ways. And that zoom chunk, which by the way, you can now get Santone's chunk, okay? They have one as well. I don't know that Santone has it in the sapphire, and I should know this, but if they do, that's the color you want, okay? Black, blue, Santone on your jig, or sapphire on your jig, okay? If you're out there though and you feel like they're really warm trending, and you really got, if I have had several fish on the black and blue jig, I might test the parameters. I feel like the fish are a little more active, and or if I'm on a shell bed, I may go to shell beds at that point. I feel like, man, there was a warm trending day. These fish might have left some of these cold water places and be feeding up there on that shell bed or feeding up on that near flat. That's when I go to the football jig. And I'm going to get back on that, definitely an active tail, like your rage craw tail. But I absolutely want some kind of brim color, crawfish color. So JC Spicy Craw, Pake's Perch. You've heard me talk about that before. And this is also when I go to the lobster, which is the next size up. 3-inch rage craw, 4-inch lobster. All right, that 4-inch lobster, when those fish come to the shell beds, man, it's such a big profile. I promise you. As a matter of fact, March 5th, here's birthday boy Bryce with a giant fish of a lifetime on the Pake's Perch on a shell bed in about 12 feet of water. All right. Now, by the way, I got a lot of trophies. You'll get to see that someday. I'll make another 2 or 3 once I've hung everything. A little bit of, I gotta have maybe a lady come in and clean stuff before I finish hanging stuff. But let's keep focused on fishing. All right, the next thing I'm going to talk to you about, again, I'm not also going to skip the fact that I'm probably going to also throw a Carolina rig quite a bit. It's just one of the things, there's no better way than that old ball and chain and to drag that most lifelike bait around. And basically it's you're fishing a weightless bait, but you have control with it. And when you're dragging it, you can snap it. You can do so much with it. So I will be fishing a Carolina rig, no doubt about it as well. Okay. So with that, I want to introduce something to you. We all know about Impact. We all know about Mr. Pack passing away last January 9th. But this is one of the best baits I've ever thrown on the Carolina rig. Both your 5-inch and 7-inch. And we now have a brand new color, which is basically the, I think they call it Ice Baby. And it's basically a white ice. This is going to be killer this year. It's going to be really killer. That water gets just a little bit more dirty. And when they fish themselves and the bait themselves are not getting as much UV light penetration, they turn pale. When the water's dirty, it's one of the misconceptions. Everything is pale, so white is one of your best colors when you got real dirty water. Low lake conditions, as we know, is going to be dirty water this year. We get some floods and the lake raises. When it's full, it catches it, slows it down fast, and it blends through, and it only comes down lake, downstream when they open the gates. Now it's going to come bombing in like filling a toilet, and we're going to end up having a very muddy lake this year. So keep that in mind. Ice Baby, Impact Shad, North Carolina rig. All right, let's go on, move on forward here, because this is the real meat and potatoes, and this is truly the best way on Lake Fork to catch yourself a double-digit fish, a teenage fish, to increase your odds to actually target the fish. All right, you buy a tag to go target an antelope, you fish You go fish for now. You go target the antelope. You don't shoot bunny rabbits and everything else along the way, right? So we're going to take you off a little sidestep here. And we're going to talk about giant baits, large swim baits, glide baits, things like Lee Lysing was throwing last year to weigh 43, almost 43 pounds in one day for 5 fish right here on the World Famous Lake Fork. All right. This is hard to bite off for some of you, but here it is. All right. 316. This bait is not just tried and true. It is so perfected. It's handmade, hand-tuned. Every single one of these baits is 20 years tried, true, professional. I mean, this is it. This is the deal. All right. There are a lot of other versions. There's other stuff that will work, but none hold a candle to the 316 workhorse. All right. The 316 Beast is much bigger than this, but here's the part that's hard to take. This is a $300 bait. All right. The time and handcraft put into this, it's worth it. I promise you the difference in this bait and others is astronomical. And I've had it just thrown right in my face where I'm throwing the other stuff, the cheaper stuff, the knockoff stuff, because that's what I can afford. And someone comes around with this and makes us look bad. So the 316 version is by far the best. In the glide baits, they're quite expensive. 316 also makes the line through. Most people don't know this, but that's actually the very first line through bait made was 316. It actually has the California record. It was caught on it. It was called a mission fish, but it's evolved as well. At 20-something, 23 years old, this company has perfected and proven themselves time and time again. This right here would be the Rising Sun, the 316 Rising Sun. Let's go show you another picture. Then a week after I had Bryce catch that giant fish, U.S. Army, Mr. John Youngblood, has 3 of them in one day. This was about March 10th, if I remember. Okay? U.S. Army John Youngblood caught those all 3 on the line through. The best part about the line through is when that fish gets on that hook right there, this bait goes away from the hook. It goes up the line somewhere else. And all you have is that hook. That fish can't throw that hook. When that big old bait's in his mouth connected to the hook, it's got the leverage of the bait to dislodge the hook. This is what makes this bait my most favorite for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Yes, I'm going to throw the jig when it's really miserable. But any warm trend or any forward spring trend that I feel, this is what we're going to do. The glide bait as well. Okay? 3 quick colors. Clear hitch. Clear water, clear hitch. Bone white, you never can go wrong. The JC Custom, awesome color, a little dirtier, dingier water. You want to see it a little bit better. Low light conditions, JC Custom. There's a chartreuse shad out there. But then my most favorite is the Ayu. I catch them the best on the Ayu. So this is the 316 Rising Sun Ayu. This is not that expensive. It's about 20 bucks, 18 bucks. And you'll catch, if you take care of it, you'll catch 30, 40 fish off this thing. You can use Mend It to repair it when it tears. This catches a lot of fish and most definitely a bang for its buck. Okay? All right. Stay with me now. I've got a couple other things I'm going to show you. I'm going to tell you about a new company out of California. And back to this swim bait deal here, the glide bait, okay? Sometimes you're going to get a lot of seasoned veterans that will tell you color doesn't even matter with these. They're correct for the most part, especially clear water. It's more the action, it's more the proven, tried, true swimming performance that this bait has that makes it different and better than others. Okay, I'm here in Texas to tell you we get dirtier water, and in dirtier water, there is times when a little bit of color makes all the difference in the world. Certainly at more bites in a given day. But generally, the colors aren't going to matter as much. Your colors in this are Lake Fork Special, Dirty Chartreuse, and the Ayu. All right, those are the 3 colors that I would choose if you're willing to do this. Look, we don't lose this bait. You throw it on 25 to 30 pound fluorocarbon. You throw it shallow water only. If you get it hung up, you go get it. The only way you're going to lose this is by snapping it off on the cast or in a giant bass's mouth. And if a giant bass takes this thing, it's big enough to break 25-pound test, it's worth it to me. If he wins the war, good for him. It's worth it. But to all of you that don't have $300, you're not willing to even think twice about it. You can find yourself something like this, the River to Sea 200. If you can get your hands on this thing, it works. It's a $45 bait. Sometimes they're not super tuned as well as they should be, so you have to kind of be able to test it in some clear water and see it perform. You may have to work on it a little, maybe have to loosen some segments in it if you can to make it swim 100% right. But this 200 is right in the same variable size. It has a lot of the similar actions. I promise you, for 45 bucks, you want to get into glide baits, this is the best place to start. I also promise you that if you start here, with this River to Sea, or today there's all kinds of brands, but you start with one of these $30 to $55 brands, it won't be long before you walk into 316 Lures and buy that, the best brand you can, okay? This is not an advertisement. This is the truth. You know me. If you follow McFarland's Corner, you know that it tells the truth. Good, bad, or ugly. I tell you whether I catch them. I tell you what I actually catch them on. I tell you when I don't catch them. There's not many that do that, okay? So, with that being said, it's kind of the rundown. That's how I'm going to fish all the way through February, even to the 1st of March. I'm going to let these fish. I'm going to be fishing staging places, points. If you've got a spawning cove, like, let's just even use Long Branch. Everybody knows about Long Branch. Well, there's 2 main lake points out there. All those big fish are not in the back of Long Branch right now, but they will be migrating in very, very soon. And over the next 6 weeks, that's exactly what they do. They start migrating in and migrating out. Warm period, they go in, cool out. Daily, they go in, explore as it warms up. If it's cold, they're probably out in them trees, out in the deeper ditches. So those 2 points, just to give you a teaching lesson. Those 2 points there are the exact, believe it or not, one of them's a shell bed with a road. Those are the key spots that you throw these kind of baits on. And especially like the line through, you make a milk run and you really hit this on the right day. It's the best fishing that I've ever had. And combine this a little bit later in the season with the top water and was catching both pre-stage and post-spawn and just put a whooping on everybody. He put a whooping on everybody. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Because of Lead Alive say, we're ranked the #1 lake in the world again. He showcased what's really in our lake. So, guys, man, you're listening. If you're still watching right now, I have just a few more things to share. I want to remind you what I already was saying in the beginning. We're going private as of February. It's a $4.99 a month subscription. Come on, man. You spend more money on lures. I'm not asking to make a bunch of money from you. I just want to change things up a little bit. I'm going to have the public corner. It's still going to talk about the lake levels and things with just a little less detail. The private corner will be worth every bit of your $4.99. Okay? All right. I appreciate that. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you have any comments, put those below. Have any questions, put those below. This long rundown, in-depth rundown, excluding my introduction of the new McFarland's Corner, is kind of an idea of how in-depth the private corner will be. The public, you'll see, will be worthy of watching, but it will have some just briefer moments. I may say, hey, they're biting in 10 to 15 feet of water and not tell you what on. Okay? All right, that being said, thank you so much. Man, real quick, I'm going to share a couple of really neat things that I'm going to be putting on the walls. Camp Bass. I've done a volunteer for Camp Bass for several years. I can't wait to hang this stuff up. This right here is like memories of my best friend and I, and a 10-pounder that he came and caught, 10 plus that he caught, and a big old catfish in Hell's Canyon with me, and just the memories that I finally get to actually set up in my own personal studio. All of this is coming from you guys, the following, the growing of this. If you followed from the beginning, it was just a little corner. This thing has evolved, and I've spent an awful lot of money at this point in it, and that's because it's worth it. You're worth it. I love doing what I'm doing here, sharing all this great information and cool stuff with you, and you love more the response that most of you are all giving me back. The ratio to like and watch views is astronomical. Man, thank you guys so much. And by the way, if I've never shown this, you know, I believe me, guys, I have won tournaments before. I was a pretty decent tournament angler on the West Coast. I'm definitely no Brent Naylor or Mike Iaconelli or Kevin Van Dam, but this is my papa. And he's 95 years old. And all of this, everything that I do, all my fishing, everything that I learned from this man is who I am today. So today he's 95 and he's in hospice type care, and I really don't even get to talk to him. But I want to end that. Just for all those out there that do follow, I thank you. My father thanks you. The support is amazing. My sponsors, I can't believe what you've done for me. And I'm open also to others. So come on in and subscribe. Check out McFarland's Corner with me. New company to tell you about, Top Shelf. This is a California-based company. And, you know, man, we've had our share of Senkos and things like this made. So I'm not going to try and push a different Senko on you. I do want you to go look at this topshelftackle.com, because there are some new bait styles and things for Ned rigging and things that you really may get into. But there's two things that are really intriguing me about this company right now. Number one, the quality it's 110%. The fine perfection in this, even the packaging, is, I just haven't seen this that much in the fishing business. Secondly, more importantly, there are some colors here that have really got my attention. One of them being red crawler. I'm going to be using this, and I'm going to be catching these fish really well with this. This is a good color that we've known about, sprayed grass. We have it in a lot of creature baits and other things. I've never thrown it in Senko. I know all about red crawler in the robo worms, but I've never thrown it in Senko. Perfect colors for four. And then there's one more that I'm certain that these bass here on pork are going to eat it. And it's absolutely right up our avenue. Where did it go? And they call this one Poison. And that's not the one I mean. The Senko in the live crawl. You can get the Senko in the live crawl. It's going to be deadly. So that company's topshelftackle.com. I just got some samples from them. The gentlemen's were really, really nice. And I'm most definitely going to fish a few of these colors here. And I'll be sure to give you some of that feedback. All right, did I go through everything? I think I did. Man, thank you all so very much. Appreciate you watching. Hit the like button below, comment below, and subscribe below. I'm Mike McFarland, the Lake Fork Guide.